Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to break down the anatomy of a real breakthrough. We're looking at this incredibly powerful short film about a guy who hits absolute rock bottom, only to find the spark he needs to rebuild his entire world from the ashes. And you know what? It all kicks off with just one single cutting remark. So it all starts with these words, which translate to, "I'm cutting your pay for the day." Imagine this. Our main character, a waiter, shows up to his job 3 hours late, and his boss just drops this on him. This is the first blow in what's about to become a day of 1,000 cuts. Seriously, this one sentence just sets this brutal tone for everything that's about to go down. So, we meet our guy right in the middle of a crisis. He's late, he's totally stressed out, and his excuse about missing the bus, yeah, that just falls on deaf ears. This isn't just a bad morning, you guys. This is the beginning of a chain reaction, a total collapse. He's pleading, he's even offering to work for free, but his boss is just relentless. And this isn't just about losing some pay, it's a deep personal humiliation. He's being made to feel small, totally disposable, and completely powerless. And believe it or not, this is only the beginning. Now, you might think his problems are just at the restaurant, right? Well, as the day completely unravels, we see that he's being squeezed from every possible direction. From work, from his personal life, and from his family. The pressure at work just keeps getting worse. After that initial pay cut, he has to take an urgent phone call, and his boss just explodes. In a total fit of rage, he's not just told off, he's fired, right there on the spot, kicked out in front of everyone. His only source of income, gone, just like that. And that urgent call, it was from his girlfriend. And there's such a tragic irony here. See, he's working himself to the bone for their future, but in doing that, he's actually losing her in the present. This just piles on a whole layer of emotional strain to his already crushing financial anxiety. And then we get to the heaviest weight of all. During that same call, he lies to his mother. He tells her he's a manager at the hotel. But the reality? His father is gravely ill and his mom has no money for medicine. The pressure to provide for them isn't just some goal. It's literally a matter of life and death. Okay, let's just step back and look at this for a second. In just a few hours, he's lost his job, his relationship is hanging by a thread, and he's facing a massive family, health, and financial crisis. These aren't separate issues. They're a perfect storm, all coming together to push him to his absolute limit. Now, this slide is where it gets really gut-wrenching. Look at the sheer weight of the lie he's carrying. On the phone, he's this successful manager with a great boss promising to send money today. But in reality, he was just fired and is completely broke. The gap between those two worlds is just heartbreaking. And this just shows you the razor's edge he's living on. 500 rupees. That is it. That's all he has. With rent due and his father needing medicine, this number isn't just a bank balance. It's a countdown to total disaster. So he's been fired. He's being publicly mocked by his old coworkers. He is completely broken. But right there, in that moment of ultimate humiliation, something inside him doesn't just break, it ignites. His despair flips into defiance, and he launches into this incredible monologue that changes everything. He starts by asking his tormentors a really powerful question. Why don't middle-class people laugh? And his answer? Because their lives are this constant, precarious balancing act. You're juggling loans, family duties, maybe a sick parent, a sister's wedding, all while knowing that losing just a single day's wages could bring the whole house of cards crashing down. But this monologue builds from just talking about suffering into this powerful declaration of strength. He stops seeing his situation as a weakness and starts to take stock of what he really has, the assets that no one can ever take away from him. He literally looks down at himself. What does he have left? His hands, still here, his feet, still strong, and most importantly, his mind. He has this amazing realization that his greatest capital isn't in his wallet, it's inside of him. And the more he uses his mind, he says, the more money he'll make. And to fuel this newfound fire, he looks to history. He brings up Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was forced to study outside his classroom, but went on to write the entire Indian Constitution. The message here is so clear. A humble background isn't a barrier. It can actually be a launching pad for greatness. And then he invokes another middle-class hero, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and his powerful words. And this, right here, is the core of his whole psychological breakthrough.
He reframes suffering not as a punishment, but as the price of admission for success. To shine, you have to be willing to burn first. The hardship isn't the obstacle, it's the very thing that forges you into something stronger.
So this powerful realization builds and builds until it culminates in a final, defiant promise, not just to the people who are mocking him, but to himself, and really to the whole universe. Here's his crucial insight. This horrible day had to happen. This wasn't a failure, it was a necessary lesson. The sheer force of this terrible day was the only thing that could have shattered his old, limited mindset. His rock bottom isn't some pit he's fallen into, it's the solid foundation he can finally start building on. And it all comes down to this powerful vow. It translates to, being born poor isn't my fault, but dying poor will be my fault. Wow. With those words, he takes complete and total ownership, transforming himself from a victim of his circumstances into the architect of his own future. And that leaves all of us with a really powerful question to think about. This story is such a brilliant example of how our lowest moments often hold the seeds of our greatest strengths. So take a moment and think, what breaking point in your own life could you reframe to become your most powerful motivation?